Good evening. Today I'm going to show you how to program the DMR Baofeng 1801. This particular radio is Motorola Turbo capable. This particular radio right here, as you get a good look at it, this is the radio I'm going to be showing you how to program. This particular radio is on Amazon and it's less than $100 right now. Less than $100. I'm going to say that safely because I can't give the actual price. But it's such a low price on the radio that it beats the $600 scanner like crazy if you're only wanting the DMR capability in 2 meters and 440, which is 70 centimeters. The DMR of this structure handles Polk County, Georgia, public safety. You can use this as a scanner and save yourself a bunch of money if you just want to listen to only Polk County. Now, if you want to communicate DMR, then you have to be a licensed amateur radio operator or someone in the public safety system in order to transmit DMR. There are some businesses that will allow DMR, but you have to be on a coordinated frequency by the FCC to do so. You can't do it on FRS, MERS, and GMRS. DMR is not allowed. So that's for the rules and regulations of the digital. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to make another clip where I've got the camera turned around so you can see how this is done. So it's going to be basically a two-part video put together so you can see how this is done. So now I'm going to show you how to program DMR Merbo Turbo Tier 1, Tier 2 of the Baofeng DM 1801. I have to stop and think of what this thing is called. But okay. So I'm going to show you how to program this to a Pacific T. So let's get started. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you how to program the Baofeng DM 1801 DMR Tier 1 Tier 2 radio. But first, I must show you where to collect your software. You can collect your software on Amazon directly from the radio, or you can go to my website www.brandondennisphillips.com. That's my new website that I've created. So what we're going to do, up here in the search bar, we're going to type in 1801. And you're going to see, where's it at? It's supposed to be in here. I guess the way I typed it in. Here it is. Baofeng radio right here. Okay. You see the price of this radio right here. The one right here, Tier 1, Tier 2. $59 for this radio. Open this up right here. Now I'm going to show you something that is very, very important for this radio. Okay, down here in the bottom of this description, right down here, shows you where you go to get your download link for your radio. It's very highly important that you use this, or otherwise you won't be able to program your radio. Now this is a zipped file, so you have to have a extractor or an unzipping program to handle this particular thing. So you take that, you can just go ahead and go to it from here. What happens is it gives you a downloadable file. When you download this file, you unzip it and then you install it. Since I have this program installed on my computer already, I'm going to show you what the program looks like. So I'm skipping the unpacking, extracting, and installation process for the software. But you see, it's a free software. So I'm going to get to come off of this. Okay. Actually, I canceled the download because I don't need it. Okay. Click on the software. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss with you. Let me pull this closer. It's way too far out for y'all to see. Hang on just a minute, y'all. Okay. Alright, now I've got this here. Okay. This right here, it says File, Settings, Program, View, Language, Windows, About. Okay. Down through here, you've got basic information. You've got the basic configuration. You got the DMR, that's the one that you'll use the most. You have a DTMF, that's for the ham radio operators only. You have zone, you'll be using this. You'll be using channel, you'll be using the scan. You won't so much use the VFO in this particular programming. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what you got to do to pick up specific talk groups for your zone and all that good stuff. So this is what I'm going to do. Now, to begin, find my mouse. Okay, basic, this is the basic information right here. Alright, these right here, this is your receive range right here. This is your transmit and receive range from 400 to 470. For the VHF side, it's 136 to 174. They mark the 470 to 480, but really it's not. So, just to tell you. Okay, so now we're going to go into basic configuration, general settings. Okay. This right here is the radio name. You've got, now this is for your ham radio operators or public safety people right here. The radio ID says you'll put what your radio ID is. If you're with public safety and if you know your ID, you can put it in right here. It says, and it will communicate just like you're communicating with your Motorola radio. So that's one way to look at it. Now, down here is very, very highly important. The match for the group call. If you're going to receive in the scanning portion or in just standard listening of each frequency that you want to receive each individual group, then you're going to want to check this right here. If you don't check this, you'll pick up every single group on that programmed frequency with that correct color code. Now, everybody says that, you know, you have color code plugs and all that type of stuff. This right here, what I'm doing is practically working on the code plug. So, right here's working on code plug, right here's working on code plug. The code plug is software itself. It is not an actual code that you got to sit there and write. So don't let that scare you. Okay, all this up here is not really necessary. This right here is though. Scan mode. Now remember, this is in general settings. You just hit the carry, and that way you can listen to that same frequency in scan mode longer. Okay, so now let's go to the menu. Can I get to menu? No. Okay. all this right here in the menu, you want to just kind of just leave alone. That's not really necessary to fool with. If you fool with this double right here, you'll mess up your scanning capability. I did learn that about this radio. You'll mess up your scanning capability. Why? I don't know, but it does. It interferes with it. Okay, now, those two off the screen. Okay, now, to buttons right here. Now, buttons you just kind of just leave alone. You can customize these buttons right here, which is not really necessary, but you can if you want to. And I'm sure y'all wondering, see this text message thing right here? You can send individual text messages in this right here to certain DMR IDs, specific DMR IDs. And that's something else you probably won't even fool with. So just to let you know on that. Let's see. And this right here is normally when you get a new radio. I've used this particular radio a couple times, so that's why it's whited out. But this picture thing is at the front of your radio when you turn it on. If you use the other setting that this gives you, you can put, like say if you're a ham operator, you can put your call sign in there. If you're public safety, you can put your name and your unit number. If you're a fire and law enforcement, you can put both your unit numbers there. If you have two radio call signs, you can put them both in there. And then you come up here and you select the other selection that's inside this right here. And that's what you do there for that. And every time you turn on your radio, that will come on. And that's actually a good thing. So, okay. Now, the DMR portions. This is very highly important to setting up your radio. Okay, basic signaling, basic, just leave that alone. Okay. Now the direct contact. This is where you set up your Pacific talk groups for your frequencies that you're going to program into your radio. This is very highly important. Okay, so let's say I want to listen to only, I'm going to put in some actual talk groups so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, let's say I want to listen to only the Cedartown, Polk County Police Department. Okay, CED for Cedartown, which is talk group 118. Now, what I'm going to do about, what is this thing doing? Is it doing, what's this thing, crazy thing doing? It's supposed to let me edit that. Oh, I know what I did. Hang on, there we go, there we go. There we go, we'll do it this way. Talk group 118. Now, this number right here, this is what actually determines what talk group you're listening to. So, whatever number you put right here will very highly be affected by what you're going to be listening to. This is just like putting in a, for you other radio operators, this is just like doing a CTCSS. You know, that's practically what this right here is, this number right here. This is talk group 118, which is the Cedartown, Polk County Police Department. Now, okay, so talk group 118 right there. Okay, now let's add another one. We don't want to do private call. We just back out of that. Don't want that, and I don't want that one. But now let's say we want to do talk group 125, which is fire and EMS for Polk County. I'm not doing all of them. I'm just showing you how to do this. 125. Alright, now, since I went and I selected the group match over in the other settings, these two right here, whatever frequency I program in on the channels, and when I put in these into the receive group category, then these are the only two groups that I'm going to be receiving. So whatever's on those two groups, on the frequencies I tell it to receive them on, that's the only thing that's going to come in. So exit off of that. Now we're going to go to the next thing, and I'll show you right here. Alright, see, that's the TG118. Now we've got we got RX receive group. That's what I was telling you about right here. Okay, so now, alright, now by default, this puts in 118 by default. But now, if I want to receive 125 also with 118, then I've got to add that over there. That's the reason why I made two, so you could see it. Okay, so now I've got that right there. Now I'll just leave this group list 1, I'll just leave that alone. You can rename it, whatever you want to call it. That way it's just for your own preference, whatever you want to do there. Now, exit off of that. Okay, now we get down to the emergency system. Emergency system, you actually leave alone. It's nothing that you need to deal with. Even for ham radio operators, it's nothing that you need to deal with. Okay, now zone 1. You see all this right here? All these crazy numbers and stuff right here? I'm fixing to clear all that out. That's not necessary at the moment because that's a totally different setup. It's actually a factory setup. So, you see all this over here. We're fixing to get into the channeling of the system. Okay, so what am I going to do? All this garbage right here, just ain't necessary. But look what I want you to notice. You see how it says contact 118, 118, 118, 118, and none, and 118, 118, 118? It did that by default. So I'm going to clear all that out. Okay, now I just cleared all that out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that when I do my program, now look, I see there's the zones. It cleared them out too. But I want to show you something. When you do the programming for these, and you got site 1, site 2, slot 1, slot 2 of your repeaters, you have to make sure you choose the right repeater slot. Okay? So just to let you know. Now this right here is a digital channel. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put in just a random frequency. This is not the frequency that they use. I'm just using a random frequency. Okay? If you want the actual frequencies, go to radio reference. Well, that frequency actually is, but that's not the one they use all the time. That's another thing you got to realize. These frequencies don't depend on these frequencies to be their allocated frequency, because they are not. They shuffle frequencies all the time. So, and you got to understand that. Alright, now the scan V right here, that's very highly important to be in that list. Okay? Receive only if you're not a public safety person. You have to, by law, select this RX only. By law, you have to select that. Now, I'm making this video for the public, so you have to select RX only. Okay, 12.5, make sure that's there, make sure that's all like it's supposed to be. Okay, now, remember me telling you about the RX group list? Well, that's what this right here is. Whatever talk group you have listed in that group, that's what you're going to receive for that frequency. Talk group, color code 1, that's correct. Now, also, if you're not using the emergency system, you turn that off. If for some reason, you see here, that says contact 118 or 125. If I was to come up here and have the input frequency to the repeater, then I would select one of these right here for this particular frequency. This means that if I transmit with that radio ID, it would take and transmit into this talk group from the input of this with this color code and open up on this frequency here, which would go directly into the 911 system. And everybody on that talk group would be able to hear me on all the frequencies that are tied to 118 at that present moment. Now, that is highly dangerous if you're not public safety. So therefore, that's why you select RX only. So therefore, if you do have RX only selected, then the contacts is no need for you to have contacts selected. So therefore, we're in complete receive mode. We have everything the way we need for this repeater. It is on slot 1, and that's what we have selected. We are not on slot 2. So then we do not even have to worry about this right here at all. We don't have to worry about that at all. Now, so now you just exit out. Well, let me do this. Hit the plus sign, that way it goes to the system. I come over here. Now this is something that's very highly important. Okay, you see, if your channel you want to scan or install into your radio does not have the channels over here for this zone, you cannot install them into your radio. They have to be over here. And by the way, you're limited to 32 channels on this particular model on the Scan V and Scan U. So that's like 60 something channels that you can have in scan mode. So I'm just telling you, you get the same window right here. Okay, see, this is Scan V. I got one channel in here that it can scan, but you can have up to 32 on this side. You can have unlimited on this side, but that's because you won't get nothing done right there. So, with that being said, this is the way this works. Now, at this point, you have one frequency in there receiving two different talk groups. Polk County has 11 frequencies with about 13 talk groups. So, you got to do this repeatedly. So I'm telling you, this is, I've done this over 16 times, so I know how to program DMR. So after trial and error, I finally figured it out, and that's what it is. So for this particular YouTube or wherever I put this video, this will show you how to program the radio. Now when you get done, you'll definitely want to save it right here. You'll definitely want to do that. And do that like that. Now, for those of you that are ham radio operators, or you are in public safety and you want to do your radios, okay, this right here where I went back to the direct contact to program the groups, the TG118 that I've got listed there on the name, that will show up when you're receiving the signal on the radio's display. That's what will show up, and then up under that will be the operator's ID number on the display of the radio. So just to let you be aware of that. So if you say Okay, you know this is Cedartown PD. You could literally mark this as Cedartown PD, and Cedartown PD would show up on your display. So that way you would know that that's Cedartown PD, or vice versa, whatever you know your other talk groups are and the numbers that are associated with them. So that's the way you do that. So I'm going to exit off of that. What I just told you is pretty much the simplest way how to do this efficiently with 11 channels and so many talk groups. Goodbye for now. We'll catch you later.